Do you find it hard to explain to friends and family what you now do? Are you wasting valuable time by attempting to figure out challenges on your own? We have created a community for ex-corporate people running their own business who want to live a life they love whilst giving back to their community. This is the Build, Live, Give show. We bring you first-hand experiences of guests going through many of the struggles you face each and every day. We get real with no corporate BS. And now your host, Paul Higgins.
Welcome to the Build, Live, Give show. I'm Paul Higgins and I'm your show host for today. And I'm very excited to have Steve Hui from Iflyflat. Steve was an accountant and did his CPO, and then he went into the Millionaire's Factory. That's right, the Macquarie Bank, one of the biggest banks in Australia. Had a wonderful 11 years with them, but he always wasn't quite right. He was a bit of a round peg in a square hole, and he really did well to position himself for redundancy, which he goes through in a little detail. And also he talks about how he's got a unique business now and how he goes about marketing that business. So there's lots of value. So please grab your pens and paper and get ready to take some fantastic actionable advice from Steve Hui from Iflyflat. If you're enjoying listening to these journeys, just letting you know we have a community for ex-career people running profitable businesses just like you. It's called BLG Boost. You get exclusive access to a forum of like-minded peers answering your most pressing questions 24/7. You get specific action tips to solve your most common challenges. You get trusted suppliers to remove lost time. You also get access to member exclusive offers to save you money. You also get access to myself as a coach directly on a one-on-one basis. You get weekly videos from global experts. And finally, you get monthly webinars solving topics mentioned in popular threads. If you're tired of being alone and want to rapidly grow your dream business, go to buildlivegive.com/BLG Boost. This link is in the show notes. Please check it out. Okay, I will see you inside. Welcome, Steve Hui from Iflyflat to the Build, Live, Give show. We're very excited to have you on today, Stephen, and learn a lot more about your journey from corporate into your own fantastic business. But why don't we just start with a bit of backstory from you?
Yeah, sure, great, thank you. Yeah, my backstory is I'm an accountant, so I did commerce degree and then I did CPA, and then mainly worked in corporate across a few roles, but the main role was about 11 years at Macquarie Bank. So doing financial accounting, management accounting, did things with toll roads, account for toll roads, private equity, airports, and banking. So across all different things. And then we started traveling to India. You know how the trend for outsourcing accounting operations.
Yes.
So I led that, and we built a team from 0 to 50 in New Delhi. And that's when I first had my first experience of flying business class and accumulating frequent flyer points. And that's when I realized there's a lot of value in frequent flyer points, but people didn't know what to do with them.
Excellent. Well, we'll certainly dive a lot more into that wonderful model that you've created around Iflyflat. But if you just, for the BLG listeners, just tell them something about you outside of work that your friends and family may know, but the BLG listeners wouldn't.
Yeah, I think people actually think I travel all the time. But actually, I think I've got the freedom to travel all the time, but I actually really love living in Sydney. So I don't travel unless it's actually for holidays or for a specific conference. So I definitely don't just fly somewhere and come back for the heck of flying. So I think that's probably the myth, because everyone sees me flying somewhere, but it's not always now. It's actually sometimes just a past photo, which I want to make aware of what people can do. So that's, there's a myth, but there's a lot of truth. Don't just fly for the heck of it. Fly for something.
Yeah, well, being a Melburnian, there's always that pleasant rivalry between the two main states. But look, I did live in Sydney for 5 years, and both my kids were born in Sydney, so I definitely love Sydney, and I can see why you love living there. It's a beautiful place. And if you sort of track back now to the moment when you were either in India, as you said, or you were sort of at Macquarie Bank and you decided, well, look, I think this is okay, but I want to really go out and do something myself. Sort of take me to that moment and what were the thoughts? What were you going through at that time?
Yeah, I think I was always a little bit different because compared to all the corporate warriors, in a way that I used to bring my own keyboard to work because I didn't like the keyboard that they issued.
Yes.
So I always bought my own things that made my job easier. So whether it made me work faster or more efficient or made my life comfortable. It didn't really matter what it cost. Even to the point where I was happy to bring my own computer because the work issue computer was slow. So with that frame of mind, I don't think I was really suited for corporate for the whole way. And hence when the opportunity come to get out of corporate, and luckily for me, there was talk of staff reductions. So I slowly engineered myself a redundancy, and that gave me a parachute to jump off. So in a way, it's very different to most people that have to make a decision to say, well, I quit my job and start something new. I was lucky enough to get a bit of sort of assistance in a way, and I took a holiday, and then the business came after that.
Excellent. Look, I can certainly understand those. I know for me, I remember when the first mobile phones came out and I worked for a very large company and they said, look, we just can't afford to give everyone a mobile phone. I said, okay, that's cool. What I'll do is buy one, but then I'll get all my customers to call me, and my sales went through the roof. And no one could understand why. I was fresh out of uni, I was getting such success, but it was because a bit like you, I just wasn't ever going to, just follow the line of, well, we can't afford to give it to you, or, you've got to be the same as everybody else. So I completely understand that, and getting the redundancy. So well done on positioning that. I know in Australia at the moment that's a very big topic with a lot of companies. I think there's a lot of people sitting in corporate just waiting for that opportunity. If you've got any key tips on how you might position yourself for that, what would you say to people that are sort of in that frame at the moment? What were some of the key things you did to position yourself well for that redundancy?
Yeah, I think first is to make a decision in your mind. What was it that you want to do? Have a look at your skills and whether you could be best served by continuing in the organization, or whether you have some entrepreneurial aspects that you want to take to elsewhere. Because the magic is once you do get a redundancy, and you might find obviously it's hard to get another job, but that's really the golden parachute that you can jump off and start your own entrepreneur role, because you don't need someone to give you a job. You're just making yourself your own job. So number one is actually to decide in your mind if you're ready for that. And from there, then you can have a look and see how you can free yourself up. So therefore, you actually make your job redundant. So therefore, you're helping the company select you because you're making your job redundant by giving your work to other people. So you're making their job easier to get rid of you.
Yeah, that's some really good advice there. And, often the advice that I give to people is, run to something rather than run from something. I think a lot of people, spend so much of their energy around what they don't like about their current job, reframe that like you did, and say, well, what are you going to actually run to? So what's the new career once that redundancy comes through? And if you sort of go back again to that moment, what were some of the key fears that you had at the time, or were there any fears that you had at the time of leaving corporate?
Oh, definitely lots of fears, because being sort of 11 years in corporate and sort of, or even 18 years since our uni working, you never experienced anything else. And being in a large organization, most of the people that you're dealing with are not customer facing. They're all other staff. So the fears is really knowing, well, what is it like outside? You know what I mean? Dealing with other people, and whether your idea could get off the ground. Obviously, in your mind, your idea is the best thing since sliced bread. But the world's very different, and not everyone's rational. So as I found out along the way, marketing is not a key strength if you're an accountant, and you just got to work out ways that you can communicate the message across. Because in your mind, it's super, super clear. like why would you not do it? In other people's mind is they've actually got other conceptions of what points are. So you have to try and build a bridge so therefore they can get and understand what you want. So I think the key thing is just recognizing you have skills that other people don't know about, but they may not understand you yet.
Yeah, and I think, for a lot of people that leave, as you said, they try to do all things. And if you've got an internal focus, as you said, I think that was a great point around, most of the time's spent internally. And also if you've got like an accounting or a function that's not marketing or sales based, it's really difficult to switch that. So I think there's some really good points for listeners that are either just left or about to leave around that. And what was some of the ways that you got help to solve some of those fears, Steve?
I actually went to a lot of networking events because you do have a bit of spare time when you finish your job. So I went to heaps of networking events, tried my pitch, see if people understood it, made an adjustment. So in terms of the help, lots of people are happy to help and have coffee with you and talk. But if you're not quite sure what is it that you want to do yet, people can't really help you. So what I sort of learned was that as you met different people for coffee, don't ask them the same thing. Ask them for help in different things, something very specific, so therefore they can help you. So be specific, and people can then put you in touch with someone else that can help you with that very specific question that you ask.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is not trying to target everyone. I think most people go out early on and are very broad. So, nearly anyone's a client. So they go to a networking event and effectively try to sell to everyone because, cash flow is often the issue. So I think the more specific you can be around who your ideal client is and what you do for them, then you can actually get people to think in their mind, because people are really willing to help. I think that's a massive difference from running your own business versus corporate. Everyone's here to help each other. But the more specific you are, the easier it is for someone to help you, which I think is a brilliant point. And I know for you, for example, for me, when I first heard about you on a podcast, it was really easy for me to go and refer you to somebody else or refer some of my membership base to you because you were very clear on what you do. So that sort of takes me to the next section, which is the build section. So when you walk into a networking event, what do you tell people that you do? How do you describe it?
Oh, so that's a good question because it does change over time. But what we do is we help book business class flights with frequent flyer points. So we know people have frequent flyer points, and over 11 million members, Qantas members in Australia have points. They have credit card points, but they don't know what they can do with them. So what we're really doing is converting those points balances into a holiday or into a work trip. And second to that is for businesses that run a business, they got bills to pay. We actually help them pick the right credit card and the right point structure. So therefore they can earn more points, which then feeds into number one, which is use points to travel. So depending on what audiences might have a different pitch because it depends what they understand.
Yeah, and look, I often say to people, what do you miss most about corporate? And I think one of the key answers is business class flights. I was just 2 weeks ago, I went to Manila and, normally I fly Qantas. I'm gold for life for all my sins of corporate travel. So that's great. I can get it in the lounge. But yes, it would be so nice just to recline and have a nice sleep on a 7 to 9 hour flight. And that's certainly the one thing I miss. And that's what I love about your service is finding ways to do that. And how do you make revenue at the moment in your business?
Yeah, so we have two services. One is a flight booking service. So it's a bit like a travel agent, except that the currency we deal with is points. So we help people find flights that they can't find, and then we charge a booking fee for that. And then the second one is like it's consulting. It's like we audit your cards and your ability to earn points. We prove that by implementing our solution, you'll earn more points. We have a value. So therefore, it's designed to pay for itself. So one's booking fees and one's consulting fee.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this before, but the one thing for me, so I use that Which Bank, and I love their mobile app, and that's one of the key reasons that I use them. So if they weren't the best card for points, how do you work around that? That the ease of having a great digital platform on your mobile phone to manage it, and then all of a sudden you got to go to another provider that may not be the case for points. Do you come up against that objection? And if you do, how do you sort of work around that?
Yeah, well, definitely the Wishbank has a great app, but the magic we sort of showcase is about showcasing the value. So the value is if you switch to another card and you're earning so many more points, and those points can then get you traveling regularly in business class. Most people are happy to overlook the fact that now you don't have a banking platform for all your banking and credit cards, because the value of doing a switching far exceeds the convenience of just having one platform. So
Right,
always go with the value first, and there's lots of workarounds, because at the moment you're used to one app, but every bank has an app, so it's just a case of opening another app, putting a thumbprint on, and then you can see the balance of your credit card.
Yeah, and I'm assuming credit card is different to your normal banking as well. I suppose I don't look at my credit card anywhere near as much as what I do my other accounts. So I think that sort of makes sense. And as far as your ideal client, so who's your ideal client?
Yeah, ideal clients are entrepreneurs and business owners. So the key thing is that the currency to spend is points. So we have to help people who have points before we can book flights for them. And the people who have points are the people who run a business and they got bills to pay. And if you pay your bills to the right credit card, you collect points, and then those points can be used to fly. So we actually go for customers, small, medium customers with at least $1 million turnover, which means that they'll be spending a decent amount of money paying suppliers, paying rent, tax, contractors, all sorts of things. Put in your card, earn points, and sometimes you can earn those points for free. So you can actually get close to free holidays. And I think that's the perk of being in business versus being in corporate. You can get free holidays.
Yeah, that sounds very entertaining, certainly at this time of year when Melbourne's not at its best weather-wise. A nice holiday somewhere a bit warmer would be fantastic. And
or a business trip.
Yes, or a business trip. Yeah, exactly. As far as your biggest learnings, so you've pivoted, as you said, quite a bit, and you've learned a lot. What are some of the key learnings that you could pass on to the BLG community from your journey so far?
The biggest learning I've done is it's actually all about marketing, because people are so busy, they don't read what you give them. So you have to have a really simple message, and a simple message that you repeat, because you could do all this bells and whistles stuff, but if they don't get it, they're not interested. They move on to new things. So my biggest learning is just to have one really simple message. For us is don't waste your points. There's a lot of meanings that come out of that, but the key thing is if you've got points, don't waste them. And then that will start the thinking in people's mind is, what do you mean don't waste them? What can you do with them? So that's my big thing. Marketing is simple message, because otherwise people get confused.
Yeah, and look, I worked for one of the biggest brands in the world, and I remember one marketing director once saying that, we're a massive company. We were the biggest brand in the world, but you got to remember that might be just a second or a millisecond in a day of a busy life of a consumer. We think about our brand all the time, and for them it's just a split second. So I really like that around just having a simple message and something that gets people to think, that intrigue, and get people to think. And there is so much noise out there these days, and there's so much clutter. So how can you cut through? And I think you've got some really good advice there on that. What about your biggest challenges today? So what are some of the biggest challenges you face today?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is actually very much connected because we can help so many small, medium, large businesses get value from their points, but they don't see that. So it's about how do I get reach? How do I get my message in front of them so therefore they can get value? We see the market in Australia probably has over 2 million customers, but how do we get them to understand what we do, that there's benefit to it? And actually, it's pure benefit to them. It's not necessary that we're going to get a customer from them. They can just take our tips and apply it, and the guys who end up paying for it are the credit card companies and the airlines. So it's actually win-win for everyone. But that's the biggest challenge, I think, is how do you get more people knowing what you do?
Yeah, and what's the impact of not getting that right? What's the impact to you and your business of not solving that?
It's just the impact is really just a case where it's just missed opportunity. The missed opportunity that someone running a business, working hard running a business, is still flying economy when in fact they could be flying business class. So they are missing out on the opportunity to travel better. And I think that the linkage to traveling better is chances are then it helps you run your business better because you're either going overseas for holiday to recharge. You might be going on a business meeting, so you've got to hit the ground running. The fact is, if you don't score these benefits, then you're losing a competitive advantage. So I guess that's the big impact for them.
Yeah, and for you, so what are some of the missed opportunities for you personally?
Yeah, so whenever I look and I walk past a big office block, I go, well, there's probably 200 customers in this office block. But the thing is, how do I reach them? Am I going to door knock them? And chances are the business owners know if you're going to be there. So how do you get to them? So the biggest opportunity miss for us is, I guess, growing our impact nationally and internationally. Nationally is where we want to grow. Internationally, maybe later. Yeah, it's hard to quantify because we can't grow too fast because there actually isn't. There's no way we can book every single business class seat, but we can certainly help more people.
Right, and the question that I ask all guests now is around commercial wage, because obviously one of the trade-offs is you earn a good wage in corporate, but when you leave, you get a lot of lifestyle benefits. You get a lot of freedom, which is fantastic, but often it takes you time to get to that commercial wage that you had in corporate. What's been your experience around pulling that commercial wage out of your business?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Very good question. About 3 years of not much at all. And then now we're in year 5. So it's actually starting to show up now. So I tell people you want to start a business, expect 3 years of nothing. And then if you're lucky, years 4 and 5 is when you start seeing some returns.
Yeah, I know for me personally, I definitely got that wrong. I over-promised and under-delivered. So I think your advice is great. And I always tell people that you're going to probably take 4 times as long and probably earn about a quarter of what you think and to get to that commercial wage. But you should always have it in your profit and loss forecast so you know what that opportunity cost is, because I know on the flip side a lot of people that say they love their work and all, but they're actually not even pulling out enough to cover their monthly living expenses, and then they're just eating into their savings. So I think your 3 years is about right, and that sort of 5-year mark, you definitely should be pulling a commercial wage. And if you go to sell the business or you go to bring a partner in, you need to have that commercial wage on your books. So it's really important. And I know Anna, your partner in life, has supported you during this journey. If she was listening to this podcast today, what would you say to her about the support she's given you?
Oh, she's given me amazing support. The fact that she's allowed me to grow this venture from zero. She believes in the vision. She believes in what we do. She supports me in every step of the way. We don't talk about the business back at home because otherwise that means I'll just be thinking about Iflyflat 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. So that gives me a bit of relief. But I know that whatever decisions I do choose, she's all behind it. So definitely financially, how I said about 3 years, she supported the whole household financially. And now that we sort of starting to turn a corner, hopefully my desire is that we'll build the business which has a crossover point where we start making more money than she earns on a wage. And then over time, it means that she has a choice whether she wants to continue working or not. But she does enjoy her job, so I'm not going to be taking that away from her.
Oh, great! But look, I think it is it is a journey, and I got some advice before I left, but I didn't really listen to it as well as I could. That it is a journey for both of you, and I think it's some great points there about not being too self-absorbed, where you talk about it at home, and also taking once you get it to a point, giving your partner an option as to what they'd like to do with their career. And certainly for me, that's been the case. And, it was both in children. So we're lucky that we've got two fantastic children, but there was some time off for that. And then some time off whilst I've established this business. So I'm just at the point now where I know for my wife, it's really her time to go out and shine. And if she's listening, I hope we can give her that chance soon. The next section is around the. Oh, sorry. You were going to say something, Steve?
So I want to say something like it's all. Although building a business takes a lot of time, and you hope in a way to get a big payoff when you sell it, but it's about matching the destination with the journey. So there's no point, say, selling your business for $10 million when you're in 20 years' time, because then what? You're going to have a big pile of money, but you've already wasted all this time along the way. So you have to sort of live along the way as well, because the big payoff is never going to return that time back to you. So that's what I want to say. You got to live the journey, not just wait.
And that's why we created this community called Build, Live, Give, because it was for that very purpose. I know for a lot of our listeners, they're already financially independent, and so often you'll hear people, especially I listen to a lot of podcasts around big startup guys that made their multi-million, some cases billions, but they often say that doesn't bring them all the happiness, and money doesn't solve it. So living the life you really want is really important, which could include some free holidays using Steve's platform, and also giving back, which we'll ask you about that in a moment, Steve. So some great points. And around the next section, which you've brought in, is around the live component. What are some of the daily habits that makes you successful in running your business?
Yeah, so exercise. I'm not actually really big on exercise, but I make sure I sign up for marathon twice a year. So Sydney Marathon April, one in September. That means that gives me a reason to go running twice a week and just keep it up. We also have time to just reflect. So although I don't travel super frequently, the times I do, I make sure that we do have a good time. And I do a lot of thinking on board the plane. I find that's a really special environment. It's not quiet because obviously there's air noise, but there's no disturbance. And also, I think the major thing is that it gives time to think, because that no one will interrupt you. There's no emails to attend to. There's nothing. There's no phone calls. So no one is going to take your time out in any way. So those are the daily habits. They're not quite daily, but the exercise is twice a week. Time off. Sometimes a walk in a park is great, because that gets you just thinking about different things in different ways, and it also appreciate your surroundings, such that you understand what is it that you're building. Are you just building this thing in your bubble, in your own head, that's going to be truly amazing, or is it actually going to be helpful to other people, family and outsiders as well?
And the next section is around the give section, which we alluded to before. But what's a cause that you're passionate about?
Yeah, I found one of these causes quite early on. It's called Dreams to Live For. And what they do is they help metastatic cancer patients to a dream that they've requested. So metastatic means that cancer that's been spread. So which means that you're normally in chemo and you're treating it, or it might not be treatable. A little bit like Make-A-Wish Foundation, but for adults. So we support that through really just doing what we do. So because we use frequent flyer points to book people to fly first and business class at the front of the plane, it's sort of ironic that these patients, all they are seeking is just an economy class ticket with their family to like Hayman Island or Ayers Rock. So we designed something where people who have lots of frequent flyer points, lots of credit card points, and which there are lots and lots of people out there, they do have all these points unused. They can actually donate it and we'll book the flight for the patient. And the beauty is that rather than donating money, they're donating points, which in their eyes are probably not as expensive. But in return, we save the charity money, not having to buy that flight with the cash donations which they receive. So it's a win-win. We do what we do. We hook up people who have frequent flyer points that they don't care about, and we help Dreams to Live for patients get their dream, get their trip.
Great, and we'll have a link to Dreams to Live For in the show notes, and obviously to your website as well. But yeah, well done. I think that's a brilliant way of giving back, and that's very in line with our principles as a community. So the last section is the action section. So I'd love to get some quick action tips from you for the BLG listeners to go and help them fast track their business. So the first thing is your number one productivity tip. So what's your number one productivity tip?
It's just to get started. So many times people think, oh, no, I've got to have the whole game plan to figure out before getting started. I say just get started, because you may realize that that game plan that's set up doesn't work. You can only know if you get started. And once you get started, it's actually easier to finish than you expected. So that's my number one tip. Just get started. It might be good, might be bad, but at least you're closer to the finish than before.
And that's the freedom of running your own business, that you can definitely do that. So certainly leverage that. And I think, I don't know about for you, Steve, but it took me a while to really get that through, because I was so used to the corporate red tape of not being able to do things. So I think that's great advice for people, certainly that have just left corporate, that's going to be the key difference from you being successful or not, is taking Steve's advice and just get started. Around apps, what are some of the most used apps that you have on your home, your mobile home screen?
Yeah, LinkedIn is my most used app. I'm probably in it every 15 minutes. And I guess that's been reflected by my growth of connections. So actually I thought back, this time last year I had about 13,000 connections. Now I've got about 23,000 connections. And it's a great place to just have conversation with people, share knowledge, share articles, and there's just chat. And I guess everyone comes and chat to me about points. So it's something I can talk about all day. Some other apps, I catch public transport quite a bit, because then it allows me to take calls at the same time. So TripView, and then the communication apps like WhatsApp, Messenger, Facebook, email. Those are the apps I use. Every 20 minutes at least.
Excellent. And I must admit, I didn't know how many connections you had, but I clicked on before this interview and we had 508 people in mutual connections. So I thought Steve must have lots of connections. And as far as your favourite podcast or book, and why?
I think Gary Vee's a podcast I listen to definitely weekly, because he just gives you this amazing insight into the future. He gives you a kick up the bum with sort of real reality and also motivation. So Gary Vee's a podcast I listen to religiously. In terms of the books, I do have a short attention span. So I've been trying to read a few books for a long time, but then I found Blinkist, which is like a real summary of a book. So before you even sort of commit to the book, you listen to the Blinkist which is a summary, audio summary, and then you can decide whether you want to commit to the full text of the book. So those are my two favorite hacks in a way.
Excellent. And the last is just around some advice. So, you've had some brilliant experience within corporate. You've been very successful, gone past that 5-year mark now and running your own business. What's some parting advice you'd love to give the BLG listeners?
Oh, that's a one piece of advice. I think just to make sort of connections. So just like how I really built the LinkedIn connection, is because there's actually a whole community of people that are willing to help you. So the difference being in corporate is that people are just doing their jobs, and if it's not related to their job, find someone else. But in business, there's actually lots and lots of people happy to help. So yeah, just be specific early and ask. That I think that will help people a lot.
Excellent. And where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, Iflyflat, iflyflat.com.au. And the idea of Iflyflat means flying on a flat bed. So once you've got that, first in business class, you'll remember the business name.
Yeah, it's great. And just out of interest, was it hard to get the domain?
No, because it's just a made-up word. So I just thought about it one night, ran downstairs, checked it, bought it, and then went to sleep. Otherwise, I'll still be kicking myself. So very lucky that's available.
And have you got the .com as well?
.com. I've got a whole heap of surrounding domains as well. So I'm not really a domain squatter, but I've got all these similar names to prevent people.
Brilliant. Well, look, I really appreciate you sharing your story today with the BLG audience. You had some brilliant advice. We'll have a lot of the links. We'll have all of the links in the show notes. But I really thank you for being part of the community, adding value. And I think, if you're spending credit card dollars at the moment in a business, which all of you are, and you're not leveraging that for business class flights or for holidays, please go and have a look at iflyflat.com.au. So, Steve, thanks a lot for being on the BLG podcast today.
Thank you. A lot of fun.
Thank you for listening to the Build, Live, Give show. If you found this show helpful, please share it with others so we can build businesses, live great lives, and give back to the community. If you would like to join the BLG community, go to our website, www.buildlivegive.com. Until next time, thanks for listening.